Hi, it's Joe. Welcome to the Quilt Report. I appreciate you stopping by for my end of the year clearance report. I'm lucky to be in my studio because about 8 days ago I came down with a positive COVID test. I had one day where I didn't feel well. Other than that, I felt just fine the whole rest of this time. I've been quarantining. My quarantine is over since I've had a negative test. But uh, I got to be here in my studio. I get a lot of questions in interviews and stuff like that. People want to know, well, what's your process? What's your process? And I never really know what to say about that, but I thought I'd talk about my process. My process, such as it is I get up in the morning and have breakfast, and sometimes I'll walk the dog. I would say usually I'll walk the dog for an hour, hour and a half. Uh, then I'll get myself together and go to work. And I'm generally at work until about 5 o'clock. Um, and what I do at work is generally I make quilts, but there's a lot of stuff involved in this whole quilts as a career thing. You're running a small business, and I mean it's small. It's not big enough to have a secretary or somebody to do all the admin for me. So I have to do the admin myself. So yesterday, for instance, I spent a few hours getting everything together for my newsletter. And the day before that, I spent a few hours getting uh, the the next 6 months of my Quilt Freedom Workshop information together and posted on the various places, setting up the Zooms, setting up the Eventbrite events, setting up the my website, adding to it and taking down the old stuff, all of that stuff. So there's a lot of admin. I have to be buying airline tickets to Australia, to the East Coast, to Santa Fe. I have all these things to London, for that matter, that I have to deal with. I have to get visas and everything. So there's a fair amount of admin that I have to do. 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 hours every week is involved in just admin stuff. So writing emails and filling book orders and all of that. Then I finally I get to go to work on a quilt. Today I'm just finishing up the backing for my quilt top that I finished just a couple hours ago. So I'm building this backing out of my friend John Cardin's fabric that he so kindly provides to me. Um, I'm making a quilt called Variants. This one is uh, it's about some of the different variants that we've all had to live with. Um, there's many kind of variants in this world, but uh, some kind are more current than others. So, so I get to make a quilt top every once in a while. And the way I do that is I pick a bunch of fabric. I got a bunch sitting right here that I'm thinking about using. Um, I got all of these fabrics. This one, my friend Zeus uh, dyed for me. I have all these different fabrics that don't really go together, which, as you know, fits the bill for me. And I'll pick a bunch of fabrics and uh, throw some out. And then once I limited myself to the fabrics that I'm going to use, I start cutting them up and sewing them together. I generally have a vague idea of what I want to do. In this case, I wanted to keep these dots running vertically over here on this side of the quilt and have these spikes in there. And then I wanted to let the dots devolve into the broken and shattered and uh, misaligned bits that that I allowed them to do. So um, I created the quilt in two halves, and this one went pretty quick. This half took a couple weeks of my work days, going over it, fixing, changing, rearranging, and all of that. I finally got the two halves sewn together and got these extra bits added to make it not seem so bifurcated. And there you go. So I got the quilt done. I got the top done, and all the while I'm thinking about the quilting design that I'm going to be putting on there. Um, Once I get my back finished, I'm going to install it in the frame, and then I'll be programming my quilting machine to do the kind of quilting that I want to have on it. Not quite sure on that yet. Um, but that's my whole process. Then, once I get everything done, I pick up my broom and my dustpan and I sweep up. I could not stop myself from sweeping. Just about a half hour ago, this place was an absolute mess because I haven't touched it while I've been working on the quilts. That's the way I generally do it. I make a big old mess, get the quilt top done, then clean up, right? So I'm going to finish sweeping up, and then I'm going to go home and cook dinner and think about spending New Year's Eve with my wife and getting to see my kids this weekend. So it's a holiday, and I'm really looking forward to it. So Happy New Year to you, and I hope you stay well this year and that all your troubles are manageable ones. That's what I hope. Thanks for stopping by. See you again.